They the rawest new podcast, who want the smoke? Coming raw and uncut like who want this dope? Whatever you want, they for sure to cover the topic. From racial issues to fashion flies to cockpit. Y'all ain't never get it like this, cause they ain't never did it like this. We on our this the way the cookie crumbles for y'all. She gon' bring the inspiration to all. You know what's up with her. And this shit manifesting is a vision. And y'all gon' love TJ cause he the realest. From the heart of a mob, they the start of it all. You looking for a holler and holler at your rug. The professor, nothing lesson, coming at you with the lessons. Get your edge if you knowin' what's good for you. They educated, but they still keep it hood for you. Won't need another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, look at the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I'm in love for yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how cool the floor is yours. 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 The floor is yours.
All right, welcome everybody. We are here for another episode of The Floor is Yours. And I know it's a little bit different, a little bit out of schedule, but we're here to talk about something super important today. So we want y'all to share the show, share it, get it out there, invite everybody to come in and watch. If you have multiple pages, business pages, personal pages, get it out there on all of them because we want everybody to join in this conversation because, again, like I said, it's very important. Welcome, crew. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Mars, I don't think I've been on with you before, so hello.
How you doing, Miss Cookie?
Nice to meet you. And we also have a special guest here with us, Mr. Lee Merritt. So we want to thank you. Yes, thank you for coming to the show. I see you traveling. You got to be careful in your travels.
Of course. Thank you for having me on the go.
Yes. So tell me, what brings you here to talk to us today?
You know what? I'm kind of distracted at the moment because I just learned maybe 5 minutes ago that some children at an elementary school near San Antonio lost their lives today in another mass shooting. If I'm clocking it right, that puts us at about 200 mass shootings in the United States this year. We're only in month 5, so that's not what we're here to talk about. But it's hard for me to take my mind anywhere else. I'm on my way, as you can see in the car, to the airport. I'm leaving the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm headed to Washington, D.C. to meet with lawmakers about police reform. President Joe Biden, who has been working with his administration probably since 2 years ago when George Floyd was murdered on May 25th of 2020. Do a number of things that would include, it would give the federal government greater authority to prosecute and do deadliest police culture in the modern world. Unfortunately, bill has died in the Senate and has laid in wait for the past year. And so the president has the opportunity to take executive action. Executive action is any action that's under his authority that he can get to without approval by the legislator. Typically, it's in the form of executive orders. And we have worked with his office to prepare a number of executive orders that we think will be impactful, that would change some of the families, like Louisiana, death on the side of the road, call it by the Louisiana state troopers. Jefferson was shot dead in her bed. These executive orders will give better.
Yeah. Okay. I think we kind of lose you. I know you're traveling right now, so the signal
it's going in and out. But in just you're talking about the president's ability to pass executive order and not wait or be bogged down by the inaction of the Senate. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And also, you talked about the mass shooting, so I also was looking at that. It was down around San Antonio. Looks like 18 dead confirmed right now, as well as the shooter, which brings me to one of the questions that we had or concerns we had. It seems like these shootings, as they was happening, the perpetrator was always ending up alive. It's not saying that we want anyone dead, but it just seems like a big difference when it's someone of color versus someone not of color that's doing these acts that they are able to live. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's E7. It's actually that number hit me in my chest. Did you say 18 people?
Yeah, it was 18. They said 18
children
dead.
I've
Yeah, I
seen
just
I've
saw it
seen
from
some mixed
ABC
reviews.
News right now.
I've seen two numbers. Fox in DC reported 14 dead. Every other outlet reported 2 dead and 14 injured, and that the shooter was taken into custody. I know that ABC now, from what you're saying, is reporting 18. I think I'll hold off to see if we can get all those cases to line up. I'm praying that the number is smaller than that. But yeah, following Buffalo, the mass shooting that took place in Buffalo, where 10 people lost their lives, it's extremely frustrating to know that shooter in that case had his AR-15 still strapped to his chest when law enforcement arrived. Pointed it at himself, put his hands behind his back, which is not what he was instructed to do. He could have been going for a weapon. And those officers were able to take him in peacefully. But if you all follow the case out of Oklahoma, brother named Quandre Sanders, he was completely unarmed with his hands up when law enforcement arrived to a call. And they shot him 13 times with his hands up. And so, yeah, obviously the standard of treatment is extremely different. And that's what we hope to talk to legislators and the president about on tomorrow.
Absolutely, brother Merritt. And I'd like to touch on that as well. With the people in the shooter in Buffalo, the terrorist in Buffalo, and this terrorist we just now are breaking news about. What is the difference between them going into handcuffs and then us leaving in a body bag?
It's the element of fear, and I'm working on a program with the Lincoln Project right now about this false idea of fearing for their lives that law enforcement relies on to justify the use of deadly force disproportionately against Black and brown communities. For whatever reason, and it's hard for me to put a finger on it when I say whatever reason. It could be that they actually have that kind of fear of Black skin, that because of conditioning and because of racism, and institutional racism, that white officers and even often officers of color are programmed to fear Black skin in a way that they don't fear mass shooters. I think what's more likely is that they've been trained that language gets them a get out of jail free card when they use deadly force against Black people, and that there won't be strong calls for accountability when you take Black life. There'll be maybe a few marches. It won't last more than 30 days. And soon people will forget the names like a Tatiana Jefferson and Botham Jean because there's just too many. And we train our law enforcement officers. 75% of their time is how to use that gun, how to hit the right target, how to take people down, how to escalate force. And so, we shouldn't be surprised when people are do what they're trained to do. We don't see them killing white people at such a high clip, although it's still the deadliest police culture in the modern world, and white people are often killed by this deadly system as well. We don't see them do it at such a high frequency clip because on the other end of that trigger, they see someone that looks like them. And they're not so quick to pull the trigger in that situation.
That's a good point, man. And I know your time is real short here. Go ahead, Ms. Cookie.
I'll say, and it's one thing that Mr. Merritt just said is basically almost that they maybe scared or whatever, like that's kind of the mentality that they're given. But it's amazing to
Terrified.
me that Black people are always treated as less than.
That's
So how are you afraid of somebody that's less than you? It kind of puts me in the mind of a pre-K teacher that's afraid of the kids in class, or a preacher that's scared of their congregation. Like, you're the person that's in authority. So how are you afraid of these people? Or you're supposed to be superior, according to some people. So how are you afraid of them? And then at the same time, the other thing that I heard an ad on our local radio station here, about not questioning officers. Just do what they tell you in the moment, and that's not the time to say anything or to have any rebuttal about it. Just do what you're told, and then ask questions after the fact. And as a mom, that's like a very hard thing to say, because I feel like I'm telling my kids they're less than and not worth being able to ask the question. Any other
That's
setting
right.
that I put you in, you can ask the question, you can get clarification. So why not in this setting? It makes it really, really hard.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely right. And I've been offered opportunities and money even go around the country and talk to Black and brown children about how to properly survive a police encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew me away. they,
Mm-hmm.
they expected me to use, you know, my platform, my resources to go around and talk to children about how to survive a police encounter. When
Mm-hmm.
most people come into contact with police, it's probably one of the more dramatic moments in their life. There could be a domestic dispute. It could be a car accident. You know, something's going on, and people are not necessarily in their logical mind. Certainly not children, right?
Yeah.
And we expect them to behave differently. You
Yeah.
know,
Everybody
and
reacts
you know,
differently.
my son is on what they call the autism spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
and he has some neurological differences that makes it difficult for him. Like, he wants an explanation, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you want me to shut up and sit down? Why? And by the way, who are
Mm-hmm.
you? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's a really unreasonable expectation that we don't put on anyone else's children. But you know, I understand the people who asked me to do it, their hearts were in the right place. They were hoping to see less of our children killed, and so I
Mhm.
get it. It's just that's not the strategy I'm going with. I think maybe we
Right.
should train the officers, right?
Right.
Train the
Absolutely.
people and not the
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Right.
Brother Merritt, I have one more question for you while we have you. Um, Within the last year, when you spoke about police reform, speaking of your son also being on the autism spectrum, you mentioned the mission of the police departments. It's bad, right? Which it creates the disproportionate amount of force and incarceration. When the issue isn't the drugs and guns per se, but the lack of social and healthcare workers for the people, right? So my question to that is, me as a mental health advocate myself, who knows and sees the disregard of these issues, do you believe that refocusing funding and attention on healthcare would be beneficial to the communities and help to decrease
That's a good
police
question.
brutality?
Yeah, and I think you used the word decrease the funds or something like that. We can't say anything like that anymore
No, no,
because
no.
people get scared.
Refocusing the funds.
Repurpose.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, sir. Refocusing the
Yeah,
funds.
no, no, absolutely. Fund mental health. You know, people who are in mental health crisis or who have a mental health diagnosis. And brother, I appreciate it. It sounds like you're a professional in the area and you've studied this, so you've already told the folks what I would say to them. But they're 16 times more likely to be the victims of the use of deadly force in our country. You know, I can recall a brother, and I'm glad that my good friend and security guard John hopped on at this moment, because we worked a case in Killeen, Texas. A young man, a pastor, was having a mental health crisis in his home on January 9, 2020. And his family called the mental health resources available in Bell County. That's where where Killeen is located in Texas. And they sent out a mental health resource officer. He showed up in plain clothes. He spoke with Patrick Warren Sr., that's the brother's name, convinced him that he should go to a hospital with him. Patrick went with him, got treatment, went home back to his family. Beautiful story. That's how it's supposed to work. He suffered a second mental health crisis, a psychiatric break the next day. Next day, he got a cop, just a regular trained cop, 40 hours of critical incident training. He shot him to death in front of his family in his pajamas. on his front lawn. And you know that case in and of itself, I think, demonstrates all that we need to know. If you send the right people for the right job, you get the right result.
Yeah.
If you continue to send trained mercenary killers, you're going to get the result that you would expect.
Yeah. So I know you're about to go now, Samir. We appreciate your time. I just want to see if you got any final word for our audience before you get up out of here.
You know, I'm praying for the community. I believe it's called Uvalde near San Antonio. I'm praying for those families that were devastated. If it was the loss of 2 people, or if it was the loss of 18 people, it's still another tragedy that has psychiatric impact on the entire community. I want to remind our community that you're not unprotected, that you're powerful, that I love you, that there's a community of people committed to your protection, to your upliftment, to your betterment, and that we are going to win in the end, although the days that we've been in recently have been quite dark.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, we appreciate you. I know you got to get out of here. We wish you great luck. I'm keeping in touch with Jonathan. So anything that we can do on our end, we'll support you, be it financial, getting the word out, or anything. We appreciate you. And just be safe out there, bro.
Thank you so much. The goal is to raise $5,000 by the end of the night, because I'm taking a bunch of families to DC, paying for their room, their board, and the costs are piling up. So if you want to go to my Instagram, click the link in my bio, or go to GoFundMe and look it up, you'll find a chance to donate to some families who are fighting for police reform.
Is your Instagram just under your name? They can find you at Lee Merritt?
Lee Merritt ESQ. Yes, ma'am.
I'll make sure we share that, and we'll be sure that we donate too, man. Thank you again, brother. Appreciate you.
Blessings, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, man, we got you on. Appreciate you joining us, man. You're no stranger to the show.
How y'all doing?
Man, we're doing well, man. Doing well, man. Hey, I can't tell you thank you enough for making that connection, man. So
you're welcome, man. It's no problem, man. You're welcome. You're more than welcome, man.
Yeah.
I did want to say something after he said something, but
okay.
He was speaking on how the first day the man that got assassinated, shall we say, or murdered, the first day he got help, right?
Right.
There's places and call numbers like that now locally. For the 757, which is Hampton Roads, it's 811 instead of 911. And I think I saw something in other places that they have that in place. So that's something to push, is calling those mental health numbers that are similar to 911, but you're getting help in a different way, which is something people is actually becoming very popular. So that's something that people can look into locally. I know we have people from all over.
And actually all of that took place after Patrick Warner's death. So his death was people have been advocating for it to happen for so long, but after his death, that's when things became to take place for individuals to be able to go out instead of officers in police uniform, because us people as color, we have a certain stigma anyway when we see an officer in police uniform, because it's hard to tell which ones are actually there to actually protect and serve you, when we've been seeing nationwide those killing us in mass numbers that are supposed to protect and serve us. So it's kind of hard, that's one of the things to where it takes all of us to say no more. You're not going to kill nobody else in our village. So that's very important to know that. Like Killeen, that was one of the places, military bases, that the blacks, when they first entered the military, they didn't want them to soldier with others that was a different race than black. So that's where a majority of the soldiers went, to Killeen, Texas, and also. Killeen, Texas thrives financially off crime and deviance.
Most cities do, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I know we're short on time. No, Miss Cookie, anything you want to ask Jonathan before? Because I know you got to get out of here soon too.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, I think that some of us have the idea that we just became afraid of police with police shootings, and that's not it. I mean, we've always been kind of like the underdog when it comes to dealing with law enforcement, and so even thinking it's more public now because we have more access to it. It's on our phone, it's on the TV. We're not having to wait for the newspaper to come to see the next day what happened the day before. Like, it's at our fingertips, so we have access. People are recording these shootings and stuff, so you're seeing it more often. But I remember being young, and a person of color can commit a crime. sell some weed if you want to, and now you being sentenced. I can use my dad as an example. My dad was sentenced to 99 years in prison for selling weed. So I've met people that have murdered people, like in social work. I've met people with a murder charge that have served 2 or 3 years, but they don't look like I look. You know, they don't look like my daddy look, but then he's sentenced to 99 years. So I think that we were given this predisposition before we started seeing all the violence in the media outlets. We've always been told that we don't have a voice, we don't have a right, we don't have these things that we can have something to say about. You can't argue about that. Whatever they say goes. And so that's just what we've been conditioned to believe.
Let me explain something with that on top, Miss Cookie. Thank you. First of all, this is the most people of color have ever trusted. With all the distrust that we have in running and all that stuff, this is the most people of color have ever trusted. The law, the system, right? Because before this generation was what? Civil rights, and we dang sure didn't trust them then. And then before that was slavery. No, so what? This is the most we've ever. So when people say, "I don't understand why you guys run," I don't understand why you guys are scared. I don't understand why you don't comply. You know, first of all, everybody reacts differently. That's number one. And number two, this is the most we've ever complied, no matter how it looks.
Yeah, that's a good point. And when you were first saying it, I'm like, man, I don't trust, but I see what you're saying. In comparison to what it's been before, you're absolutely right. So, man, it's crazy to think that. And I'm going to ask Jonathan, I know you spent a lot of time with Mr. Merritt here the last day or so, without giving it away too much secrets or, information that shouldn't be shared. Man, what can you tell us about your visit with him or your time with him over the past day or so?
Well, actually, this has been years. Our relationship has been years. Relationship with him, being Crump, Uncle Al, who most people know as Al Sharpton. Like this is something that has been going on for years. Especially we was the ones, my soldiers and I were the ones that was protecting George Floyd's family, George Floyd's body when it was in a hearse. This is nothing new to us. This is nothing new to me. Like as far as protecting attorney Lee Merritt, this is a hard, not really hard, but you really have to love it. And not only that, you have to actually be what you talk about. When others, it's like Malcolm X said, if you're not willing to die for freedom, then take freedom out of your vocabulary. This is one to where if you don't mean by any means necessary, then you need to take by any means necessary out of your vocabulary, because it's no point in training and being proactive for something to protect and serve your people or those of righteousness if you're not going to do what's needed to be done to make sure that they make it home at the end of the day. So it's not only Attorney Lee Merritt during this agenda that I'll be protecting. We have soldiers that'll be boots on ground as well, and I have to protect over 13 families, including Attorney Lee Merritt. So this is something that you got to be dead serious about, because at this point in time, his life is more important than mine.
Yeah, what's crazy is hearing you say that he needs security, and we know why he's doing it, because he's out here challenging the status quo, the opposition, and just hearing you saying that he has to walk around with security, it just, I don't know.
Well, let me give you a little. Let's do a little vocabulary twist, okay? You meet security at the club, they just have a T-shirt on, right? Well, we're this right here is executive and personal protection. So it's a total different ball game. We're not walking around with wands trying to see if somebody got medals in their pocket. This is a whole totally different ball game. Yeah. And I have to also be proactive and be very well educated, because just think about it. Them at the White House, the president has his own security, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't care who they are. So my thing is anything can go bad at any time between me or them. But I know who I'm there to protect. So it's going to be between me and them. So it's not a tit-tat-tadpole type of thing. So, security is totally different. Anybody can secure something, but personal and executive protection is a total different ball game.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And it's ever changing, it's ever evolving, and it's serious. So like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna encourage people, don't just sit back and read it and be like, oh dang, that's messed up. Like you're really gonna have to get active in this. And if you don't know how, reach out. Like we have people here on the show. Reach out, talk to somebody, see what it is that you can do. Everybody ain't a foot soldier like Jonathan and able to go get on the front lines. That ain't everybody's job. Some people
Right.
need to be in the background doing things that need to be done behind the scenes, but everybody has a place that they can help in this. Yeah, I mean, it's a journey. It's a war. So I
And I'm
feel like
glad you said that.
everybody.
I'm
Mhm.
glad you said that because I think some people get discouraged because they're not on the front lines. But it's something nobody's turning nobody around to do anything because when you call a business, they have an extension. They ask you if you know your extension, please dial it at this time. There's different levels to everything. Not everybody has to be a frontline soldier at all. And just because a person or individual is not a frontline soldier doesn't mean that they're not needed
Right.
at all. But one of the things that is needed is knowing how to protect yourself and your household and your family. And that's why I do training, and especially in Texarkana, Texas, like every weekend. I just want people to know how to protect themselves.
Mhm.
especially with things like the that just happened today. The children at the
Yes,
school.
Right.
yes. And it's kind of crazy. We got on here to talk about something totally different, and then get on here and find out that another shooting has
Same
happened.
stuff
So
is happening.
yeah, I'll say it's just ever changing. So you got to be on your toes and able to navigate what's going on. So again, I just want to encourage everybody to get involved, whatever that looks like.
Without
If you
fear.
don't know how,
Without fear.
yes, reach out, find out how, and get informed. Don't take everything that you learn from somebody else. Or I heard such and such and such. Go be informed, and then be aware when you're reading stuff. Like when we're looking at this stuff from Buffalo, everything's saying the alleged shooter, the alleged person. Officials say that it may have been racially motivated. Look at the way they terming stuff and the way they're describing it, because that description, while you're not thinking about it, subconsciously kind of sways the way you feel about things. So be aware of that just as you're going through. Jonathan, John, we thank you for coming on the show today. Again, shout out to Lee Merritt. Y'all go to his Instagram, see how you can support, tap in, be part of what's going on. We just wanted to reach out to y'all. There's so much going on. So we wanted to connect with y'all and just kind of give you some avenues to help. Shout out to Flex for getting it all together. Mars, hey, first time on the show. I like what you're talking about. Yeah.
Hey, and we will share the link to Lee Merritt. So we asking everybody to give. He's doing a great work, and it's not free. So anybody that can give, please do. I'll be sure to share the link on the podcast page and my personal page for anybody that want to donate.
Yeah, he said he's sharing. The donations are for the family so that they can have somewhere to stay and all that during the time period.
Yeah, because anytime we get the families together, we don't allow the families to come out of their pocket for anything. We try to find ways and outlets to raise funds for that to happen or for them to be where they can be. It's just because we're taking 11 families, it's way more than 11 families that has been, facing the tragedy through police brutality. We can go on and on and on and on and on, especially since I've been working alongside with Attorney Lee Merritt. It's like this is your life. And you live in last minute. It's no way. I knew 2 days ago about this. Then I'm was making plans, and then I had to alter my plans for Juneteenth. So this is a life. This is a life to where you have to make sure that you are 100% and above for your people, and not only that, your family. Our families make sacrifices because it's times we got to get up and go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Well, we thank you again. We're gonna have you back on again. Like you just part of the podcast family now, so you just gotta come on when we call for you.
No,
All right.
no.
Listen, I don't accept no's from you. I don't know who it is you think you're talking to, but I don't accept no's.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Again, can't see.
Yes, sir. You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, if you just tuned in, go back and watch it from the beginning. Share the show. See how you can connect. See how you can help out. We thank y'all. Gerard, you got the outro queued up for us?